is coming to us from the Supreme Court that has pulled up the Enforcement Directorate, asking it not to create an atmosphere of fear. This as the Chhattisgarh government came to court alleging that the agency is threatening State Excise Department officials and their families and pressurizing them to implicate Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel in an alleged 2,000 crore rupee liquor scam. The top cause stinging remarks are coming against the backdrop of the opposition parties across India alleging a witch hunt by central investigative agencies, be it the ED, be it the CBI. In fact, Chhattisgarh, if you remember, had become the first state last month to move the Supreme Court, alleging the use of these agencies to intimidate, harass, and disturb non-BJP governments. In its application, the Chhattisgarh government says 52 officers have been tortured and that their family members have also been threatened and asked to sign blank papers. They say this is being done so that they can implicate the Chief Minister and destabilize the government. The state government is also claiming it's an operation that is aimed at the upcoming elections. However, the ED is countering the claim in court and is saying it is simply probing a scam in the state.
जो परिस्थितियां छत्तीसगढ़ में बनती जा रही है, करप्शन दिन ब दिन रोज नए उजागर हो रहे हैं और भ्रष्टाचार ऐसा जो प्रमाणित हो चुका, ईडी ने जिसको प्रूफ कर दिया 2000 करोड़ रुपया के शराब में और रिकवरी निकलना शुरू हो गया, लोगों की संपत्ति जब्त होने शुरू हो गई और ये वही लोग हैं जो सिंडिकेट चलाते हैं। शराब माफिया का एक सिंडिकेट अवैध रूप से छत्तीसगढ़ में 30% शराब को खुलेआम, हिंदुस्तान में कोई ऐसी सरकार नहीं होगी जो शराब खुद अवैध धंधा करे, न्यायालय में प्रस्तुत हो चुका है। इससे बड़ा प्रमाण मिलने की जरूरत नहीं है।
Okay, that was Raman Singh from the BJP, obviously making the claims he is making. What is the government in Chhattisgarh saying? Let me get in a view from Mr. T.S. Singh Deo. He's the Health Minister of Chhattisgarh. Mr. Deo, first things first, thank you very much for your time here on Mirror Now. Can I start by asking you, your answer to what the ED is saying or what Raman Singh is saying? The ED is saying, why are you getting perturbed? We are simply probing a scam.
Good evening, Shreya ji, and good evening to all the viewers. For one, I just heard what Mr. Raman Singh ji is saying. He says that he has not seen a government dealing with the liquor trade. He forgot that he was himself the Chief Minister when this policy was laid out, and the government started the distribution of liquor. So I think, short memory, he should remember that. This government has made no new policy as far as the liquor trade is concerned. That apart, whereas the ED is concerned, I really don't know what is happening inside when people are called for questioning. But very frequently we are hearing that there is intimidation. People, some of them are getting third degree, others are being told, those who are also there in that building at that point in time, see what is happening to those people, you better say this or you better say whatever is the correct thing, otherwise similar thing may happen to you. This is what we have been hearing outside, from outside. So this consistently has been there, and it is in line with what the Supreme Court has sort of ruled, that intimidation must not be there. Atmosphere of fear, like you read out, must not be there.
So you're actually saying on record that there has not just been intimidation, there has been third degree treatment that has been given to some excise officials who are being questioned by the Enforcement Directorate. The charge also being made in the Chhattisgarh affidavit is that this is an attempt to destabilize the government ahead of elections, that this is deliberate targeting of non-BJP states. Why do you say that, sir?
It is certainly so. It is certainly so, because it doesn't seem to be happening everywhere in the country. These ED actions or IT actions or CBI actions seem to be targeted against the non-BJP governments, whether it is in Bengal or whether it is in Jharkhand or whether it is in Chhattisgarh or elsewhere in the country, it seems to be targeted. So that takes away from the independence or the objectivity of an organization on national level organization put in place to prevent money laundering or other such illegal activities, corrupt activities. So you take away, by taking action in this sort of a manner, the objectivity of the whole procedure. So that is what is unfortunate. You want to take action equally throughout the country. Who will object? We as citizens of India would support it. Please go ahead. You must bring the corrupt to book, bring them to public notice and take action against them. Nobody would ever oppose such a thing. But when you target it against certain people and governments, then the whole exercise becomes questionable.
Okay. And in this case, the Chhattisgarh government is convinced that the entire torture, intimidation, etc., is happening because the ED somehow wants to fix the Chief Minister of the state ahead of the election.
Shreyaji, they seem to be going towards that. See, earlier, whenever they were putting in challans or they were putting in reports to the courts, they never mentioned the Chief Minister or anybody close to the Chief Minister. Now what is happening is, as if step by step, a ladder seems to be being climbed. And the last report that I read mentioned so-and-so has proximity to the Chief Minister. In 2 paragraphs, the word Chief Minister is mentioned for the first time. Before that, it was people in the highest echelons of the political hierarchy. See, no particular designation was taken before this. But now there seems to be an attempt to bring in a particular designated public representative or public executive. So that certainly will raise questions, Why are you doing it in this way? If somebody is, you have proof against somebody, you just take action. You seem to be building an atmosphere towards reaching a particular pre-programmed objective. So those sort of things make this exercise very objectionable.
All right, Mr. Dio, we leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for joining us on our second lead this evening. Thank you very much indeed. Let me go straight across to Harish, who is joining us live from the Supreme Court. Samrendra is joining us on the phone line from Chhattisgarh as well. Harish, I'm coming to you first. Could you tell us what the highlights of the observations have been as far as the Supreme Court is concerned? Because when the Supreme Court tells the ED, don't create an atmosphere of fear, pat comes the reply from the ED, we are simply probing the case.
Yes, that's right. Very significant remarks coming in from the Supreme Court, and at a time when there is a huge row over the alleged misuse of agencies like CBI and ED to target political rivals. Remember, last month, the combined opposition parties, 14 of them had moved Supreme Court, alleging there is misuse, rampant misuse of the CBI and ED against opposition parties. At that juncture, Supreme Court, though, said that we cannot issue any blanket order, and aggrieved parties should come to court one by one. Today's remarks are very significant. The court has gone on to say that your cause may be, in fact, genuine or bona fide, but it creates a suspicion when you behave like this. You should not create an atmosphere of fear. Very, very significant remarks. And what was the allegation? Allegation was that the ED is running amok in the state of Chhattisgarh and trying to frame up this Chief Minister Bhupesh Baghel in the 2,000 crore liquor scam. And for that, even around 59 officials of the excise department are being physically and mentally tortured, and they have even threatened to leave the department. This is a very serious allegation leveled by senior advocate Kapil Sibal, who had appeared for the Chhattisgarh government. So so this is that view of the matter that the observation from the Supreme Court assumes significance. And Kapil Sibal has told the Supreme Court that there is a pattern in this. This is such demeanor, such conduct of the ED and CBI is seen in all poll-bound states of late. The BJP tries to target the Congress or any other party. All these issues have been raised in the Supreme Court. The ED, the Chhattisgarh government very clearly said that the ED was acting in a biased, non-transparent and in a manner to ensure to destabilize the government and also target the Congress party in the election. So in a way, once again, the Chhattisgarh government has raised the issue of how the investigating agencies are being misused by the ruling BJP using the ED and the Supreme and the very significantly the Supreme Court has sought the ED's response to the impleadment application filed by the Chhattisgarh government, in which it has wanted to become party in the two petitions filed by the scam accused who had sought quashing of the proceedings. So this is a very the remarks are very significant. Number two, the Supreme Court has sought the response of the ED on the application and the affidavit filed by Chhattisgarh government, raising very serious allegations like 59 officials of the state excise department are being targeted physically and mentally being tortured. Back to you.
Let me. Okay, thank you so much, Harish, for getting us, the exact situation as it played out in the Supreme Court today. That was Harish reporting to us from the Supreme Court. Let me quickly go across to Samrendra on the phone line before I introduce my guest to you this evening. Samrendra, हमने ये तो सुन लिया कि छत्तीसगढ़ सरकार क्या कह रही है. We've already heard from the Chhattisgarh government. ऑपोजिशन का क्या कहना है इसमें, क्योंकि इस बात को लेकर और सुप्रीम कोर्ट में जो चल रहा है उस बात को लेकर छत्तीसगढ़ में एक पॉलिटिकल वॉर भी शुरू हो गई है.
जी बिल्कुल, इसमें कोई दो मत नहीं है कि इस पूरे इशू पर जिस तरह से बीजेपी भी काफी एग्रेसिव होकर सरकार पर निशाना साध रही है. इस मसले पर सुनवाई से कुछ देर पहले पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री डॉक्टर रमन सिंह ने जरूरी स्टेटमेंट दिया था और उन्होंने ये कहा था कि जिस तरह से छत्तीसगढ़ में भ्रष्टाचार हो रहा है और ईडी ने साफ तौर पर प्रूफ कर दिया है, ऐसे में यहाँ पर हलचल तो होगी. और एक तरह से कहीं न कहीं उनका इशारा था कि सरकार की जो स्थिति है वो डामाडोल हो रही है. वहीं दूसरी तरफ कांग्रेस लगातार इस बात को कह रही है कि ईडी ने यहाँ पर छत्तीसगढ़ में कांग्रेस की सरकार है, इसलिए वो लगातार कार्रवाई कर रही है. मुख्यमंत्री ने कल भी इस बात को जिक्र किया था कि छत्तीसगढ़ में कर्नाटक की हार का बदला जो है वो छत्तीसगढ़ में लिया जा सकता है और ताबड़तोड़ जो है एक्शन जो है ईडी यहाँ पर कर सकती है. तो दोनों तरह से पॉलिटिकल वार हो रहा है. लेकिन इस मसले पर जब सुप्रीम कोर्ट का एक कमेंट जब आया कि यहाँ पर इस तरह से ईडी जो कार्रवाई के दौरान जो भय का वातावरण निर्मित न करे, उसके बाद जरूर बीजेपी के नेता इस पर कोई सीधे तौर पर कमेंट करने से बच रहे हैं. अभी फिलहाल उनका ये कहना है कि हमने बात करने की कोशिश की और जब तक वो ऑर्डर की कॉपी नहीं देख लेते कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने एग्जैक्टली क्या कमेंट किया है, क्योंकि पिछले कुछ दिनों से बीजेपी लगातार इस मुद्दे को लेकर सरकार पर निशाना साध रही है और एक तरह से भूपेश बघेल सरकार से इस्तीफे की मांग कर रही है. ऐसे में ये जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट का जो एक कमेंट आया है वो कहीं ना कहीं राज्य सरकार और भूपेश बघेल सरकार के लिए राहत की बात है और ईडी के लिए एक बड़ा शॉकिंग है, क्योंकि जिस तरह से उस पर आरोप लग रहे हैं और कोर्ट ने उन आरोपों को एक तरह से यहाँ पर जस्टिफाई किया है और ये कहा है कि इस तरह की माहौल जो है वो उचित नहीं है. और इन दोनों मामलों की जो सुनवाई एक साथ हुई है.
चलिए समरेंद्र, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद हमारे साथ जुड़ने के लिए. यू आर टेलिंग अस दैट अ पॉलिटिकल वॉर ऑफ वर्ड्स इज ब्रोकन आउट इन छत्तीसगढ़ over what is happening in the Supreme Court in Delhi. Let me quickly introduce my guests to you. Khushbu Jain is a lawyer from the Supreme Court, joins us on the broadcast. Vikram Singh is a former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. Vikram Singh ji and Khushbu, first of all, please accept my apologies. I have kept you waiting, but you know, things happened and those are the perils of a live show, so I apologize. And with that apology, Vikram Singh ji, I'm coming to you first. Look at what the Supreme Court is saying. The Supreme Court is saying that even a bona fide cause becomes suspect when you, that is the ED, behave like this. They say don't create an atmosphere of fear. Is that what our agencies have now become? That even if they are on the right track, even if they are investigating the right people, you know, every time there is a raid on an opposition leader, every time an opposition leader is arrested, we just do an eye roll and say, oh, political vendetta, the ED, the CBI, the NCB are acting at the behest of their political masters. Is this a grave that our agencies have dug for themselves?
I would not like to believe what is being alleged, but the fact of the matter is important and significant observations by the Honorable Supreme Court. What happened in Mumbai in respect of the recent case in the last 12 months, I would shudder to think that they tore to shreds every statute and every clause of the rule book. Now, in this case, I do hope that the provisions of CCTVs apply to ED. PMLA, Prevention of Money Laundering Act, is a super specialty investigation, and the part of investigation is as sacred as the court proceeding itself. No scope of bullying or arm twisting. Yet, I do feel that the signing of papers is totally illegal, uncalled for. Then detention beyond the normal limits, a prescribed limit, is uncalled for. Bail, not jail, is the norm, as observed again and reiterated by the Supreme Court. Shreya ji, we have not covered ourselves with glory. And it is time to take a relook and restructure at the investigation roadmap, because there are horrible fault lines that need to be set right.
Khushbu Jain, look at the allegations that are coming in from the from the Chhattisgarh government. These are allegations that are being made by the Chhattisgarh government, not in a press conference, not on the floor of the assembly, but in the Supreme Court. They are saying that there is third-degree treatment that the ED is using against excise officials in Chhattisgarh. They are saying that it's not just these 59 or 52 officials who are being threatened, their families are being threatened as well. They are being forced to sign blank papers. I mean, these are very, very serious allegations against one of the prime investigative agencies in this country.
Absolutely, Shreya. I absolutely agree with you, and I agree with Vikramji as well that you're talking of one of the prime agencies of the country, a central agency in the country, and when you look at the kind of crimes that they probe, those are PMLA kind of crimes, the Money Laundering Act, and you know, these are the matters which have to be looked into in a very sacrosanct manner, if I say so, because when you talk about money laundering, when you talk about corruption, these are very serious issues in the country, or any democracy is grappling with such issues, and these have to be looked upon with a very strict way. But at the same time, one has to understand that how agencies are working, and it has to be away from any kind of political attachment or influence. I would say that agency has to work in an agency manner, and I'm not doubting on or questioning anything. But looking at the statement coming by the Supreme Court, I would say that that's a very serious statement for the highest court of the country to make, and that's something that puts in some attention, that in some manner one has to look into that, how the conduct has been happening, because if you look into these matters are serious matters. If you look into illegal investigation was being conducted by the ED in the present case which we are talking about, and if you look into the conduct and you start doubting on the case itself, it will nullify the main cause for which the act is there and for which the agency is there. Hence, I would say that you know, maybe look a little more with respect to the conduct part of it, and make an agency independent, or it is independent, but make it less influential when you talk about political. And if I comment, it's not just Congress states, but I would say that there have been a lot of cases in last 5 years that, you know, we would say that those are against BJP members as well. Looking into, if we have to comment only, if you look at the cases, something like Mohit Kamboj, if I'm naming it, 2019, this case was being registered against him for 67 odd rupees of crore, 67 crore odd rupees of cheating case. If you look into the look into the aspect of income tax department went on against PVS Sharma, who is the former vice president of BJP in 2020. If you look into, there are numerous cases against the BJP officials as well. So you would not say that just because it's in central agency and the central government is the one on whose behest the agency has been running. No, that is not how it is. But one has to really take seriously the statement which has come from the Supreme Court. What made them say that kind of a statement? That's something one has to look upon. But making a blatant statement that it is just being utilized against, as an shield before the elections, I think it's too forward to say something like that.
I have some data here to counter, to counter what you're saying. When you say that it's not just opposition leaders and opposition parties that are being targeted, it is also, leaders within the BJP, and you've put out two names. Now, here's what I have for you. Since 2014, there has been a fourfold jump in ED cases against politicians. So since 2014, a fourfold jump in ED cases against politicians. 95%, Khushbu, 95% are from the opposition. That data, I think, tells you a story. Mr. Vikram Singh, there's another data that tells us another story. Since 2005, the ED has managed to conclude or convict only, let me see, how much is this? Only 25 cases. The ED in the last 18 years has closed only 25 cases. The conviction rate is some 0.5%, but the ED, of course, is disputing it. My point is, how do you deny this data? These are all numbers. No one is making this up. How do you deny this? The ED has to, there are tough questions that the ED needs to answer for itself.
Yeah, the question is for me.
Yes, Mr. Singh, that question is for you.
Shreyaji, there's a dichotomy between the figures. I did when somebody in another show said that this is the status of the conviction of the ED. I called up no other than the chief person in the ED and said, what are you people up to if this is the abysmally low conviction that you are getting? So I don't know what jugglery of figures came about. He said that, sir, actually, before these 5 years, we were investigating the case. We only investigate PMLA cases. Okay, whatever be the case, if you're given, say, 100 cases and you're able to convict just about 2 or 3% of the cases, it doesn't speak very highly of you and the professional prowess of the agency. But I was not convinced. The fact of the matter is that it is a very important organization investigating high-profile cases of money laundering. Yes, but the conviction, since it is basically financial matter, I see no reason why the conviction rate should even be less than 80%. Now, coming as it does scientific aids to investigation, there are things of my generation where people, investigators were supposed to be something half butcher and half human. Those days are now over. The scientific aids to investigation give you the strength, the capacity and the capability to understand everything as far as finances are concerned. The inputs from artificial intelligence will be able to tell you and pinpoint what is happening behind the eyeballs of the person who's accused of the crime. Arm twisting and bullying are absolutely woefully out of date and anachronistic.
Okay, Mr. Vikram Singh and Khushbu Jain, thank you very much for joining us. Fact is, ladies and gentlemen, the ED, the CBI, the NCB, essentially our agencies are important arms of governance. Essentially, what they are supposed to do is keep this country honest, to keep this nation honest. But if there are aspersions being cast to these agencies, and if they are being accused of dishonesty, India's democracy will be at a loss. If we can't trust our agencies to do the right thing by this country, forget any political leader. Your agencies need to do the right thing by this country. And if they aren't, it's a travesty. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. For the moment, let me quickly slip into a break. There's much more news coming up from the other side. We have a special story that is coming to us from Pune, from FTII Pune, where students are now on a hunger strike. We are telling you why in just a bit. Do stay with us.